this video, we're gonna talk about inclined plane and applying Newton's law of motion. Inclined plane problems are associated with physics. At the same time, it uses geometry. Okay. Also, in inclined planes, we commonly see free body diagrams. Free body diagrams are just a drawing, no? An illustration para ma-visualize natin yung nangyayari sa problem. At the same time, ma-list down natin yung mga components na meron tayo. Okay? So, let's start with inclined plane. Inclined plane problems are usually seen like this. No? So, this is an example of an inclined plane. There is this theta, which is yung angle nung kung gaano siya ka-tilt, okay? And also, there is this two main variables kapag ka may inclined plane problems tayo. Number one is yung weight ng objects. So, it is written or drawing as like this. So, mg, no? Because, syempre, na-attract yung object natin sa gravity. Now, perpendicular to that plane or that incline, no, is yung tinatawag natin na normal force. Okay? This is also associated with contact force. Okay? So, this three, ito yung mga common na makikita natin sa inclined plane problems or ma-identify natin sa inclined plane problems. But we could extend this out, no? The second thing is that opposite to that normal force, which is this area. So this is our also a component for mass, no? For our weight rather. And opposite to that incline, so we have this one. This is also another component for our weight, no? At kung paano yan mangyayari at anong mga variables na associated dyan, let's talk about trigonometry, no? So, I think you've heard of SOHCAHTOA. So, may video ako talking about trigonometric. So, on SOHCAHTOA, mostly to associated sa triangles, particularly right triangles. And as we observe on this illustration, we have this right triangle, right? Okay? And another thing that we can observe is that opposite to this theta is we have another angle here. Or dyan magsisimula yung angle natin. Because again, this is another right triangle. So, ano lang ini-indicate yan? Ini-indicate lang yan. Now, ano yung sinasabi dyan? Sinasabi lang dyan that, for example, itong theta natin na to. Example, ang value niyan ay 30 degrees, no? Therefore, this theta is also 30 degrees, no? And mamaya natin yung pag-usapan. Now, SOHCAHTOA. So, i-redraw ko lang tong diagram na yan. Yan. So, we have that diagram na. No? So, same lang to dito. Now, on SOHCAHTOA, if nandito si angle natin, okay, therefore, opposite to that angle is our opposite, no? And we know that the longest line na to, this is our hypotenuse. Therefore, yung katabi ni theta will be our adjacent side. Now, on SOHCAHTOA, we have sine, no? And opposite ang kinakount niya. Therefore, itong opposite na to equals yan kay sine. Si cosine naman, adjacent. So, this adjacent ay equals kay cosine. Okay? So ngayon, ano yung pwede nating ma-identify dito? Therefore, on this side or this side of um, illustration natin or free body diagram natin, we can call this blue line as our mg cos theta. Since again, it is a component for weight, no? And on this red line, this is mg sin theta. Since again, component nga siya ng weight. And by looking at this, we can minimize, no, yung mga values. Okay? So we can replace x-axis and y-axis with these components. Okay, so we have this as our f sub n, no, or normal force natin. At also on y-axis we have our mg cosine. And on x-axis we have mg sine theta. Okay? So near place lang natin yung x and y axis natin. Since on this inclined plane problems, we don't take x and y axis ng paganto pa rin. Okay? So hindi pa ganyan. Rather, sinusundan natin dito yung incline, yung pagiging tilt ng plane natin. So it should like this. So this is our y-axis and our x-axis, no? Now, another thing to consider or other components na wala pa dito is it depends on the problem. Sometimes yung problem natin will include frictions, no? So kapag ka may friction tayo, so opposing yan, no? So if I have here a velocity or an acceleration pababa, therefore we have a friction opposite to that direction, no? And represented yan as f sub k. Okay? Pero ito kasing ginawa natin, ito yung mga basic components na meron sa incline. Okay? So with this diagram, we can list yung mga quantities per axis. Okay? So let's start with summation or the net force acting on y-axis. On y-axis, this is usually 0 sa inclined plane since wala naman mag-act na force sa dalawa na to, no, at constant velocity. So therefore, ano yung mga components na meron tayo? We have normal force, no? So nililist daw natin yung components na meron sa y-axis, and we have mg cosine. Now, if we take a look, si mg cosine dito ay nasa baba, no? So we could think of as f sub n as positive side and mg cosine as negative, such as this side, no? So we could say that itong pababa will be positive at ito ay negative. It depends on you, no? So therefore, we have negative mg cos theta is equals to 0. Now we can solve for Fn. Therefore, normal force is equals to mg cos theta. Okay? Now, how about on f of x? Sorry, summation or the net force acting on x-axis. On this side, it depends sa situation. If yung velocity natin will be at constant or 0, therefore, 0 to, no? But if meron niyang movement or acceleration, then on this net force acting on x-axis will be equals to m or mass times acceleration sub x, no? Since acting nga siya sa x-axis. Therefore, we will have mg sine theta is equals to ma, no? So these are the common components or formulas or parameters na gagamitin natin um, on inclined plane problems. Okay? Now, let's have this example problems. Okay? So, a 10 kilogram object slides down a frictionless plane inclined 30 degrees above the horizontal. What its acceleration? No? I think this is what is it? Acceleration. So, let's try to solve this um, problem. So, let's draw a free body diagram that illustrate this problem. So, like this. So, another to consider is first, sulat natin yung mga quantities na meron tayo. So, sabi si object daw natin ay 10 kilograms. Okay? Now, frictionless yung plane, therefore, wala tayong f of x dito. No? Or, sorry, f sub x k, no, as friction. So, we can eliminate that into conclusion. And again, isulat natin yung mga components na given sa atin. So we have f sub m. So these are the standard components. And mg cos theta. And on this side, we have mg sine theta. Okay. Now, sabi dito that we have theta here. And this theta, no, ay equals kay 30 degrees, 0.0 degrees. Therefore, si mg cos natin dito, mg cos will be also 30 degrees. And so does this one. mg sine is equals to 30 degrees. Ngayon, ang pinapahanap sa atin ay si acceleration, no? And nag-i-slide daw siya pababa. So, ang movement natin will be focusing on x-axis, no? So, pag ganyan, right? And so, therefore, we have an acceleration dyan. Okay? So, therefore, ano yung gagamitin natin dito? Since slide down siya, no? And ang ifa-follow niya is yung x-axis. So, therefore, we can use the summation of f sub x is equals to ma sub x. Since again, may acceleration nga tayo and ang pinapahanap din sa atin ay si acceleration. No? Dahil may acceleration na nangyayari sa problem na to. So, we can write the formula. So, mg sine theta or sine 30 is equals to ma sub x. Now, we can eliminate yung mass since hindi naman siya kailangan sa problem na to. So, therefore, magkakaroon na lang tayo ng g sine 30 is equals to a sub x, no? And we know for a fact that gravity, no, has a value of 9.8 meters per second squared. So that's a standard value. Sine 30, how much is this? Sine 30 is 0.45 equals to acceleration. Okay, and if we multiply that, that is equals to 4.90. And ano yung the units natin, that is ms squared, no? So m per second squared is equals to acceleration. So this is our final answer. So let's try this another problem. A 10-kilogram object is at rest on a plane inclined 30 degrees above the horizontal. What is the force of friction acting upon the object? What is the coefficient of friction? So this is the same problem kanina, which is nakuha nga natin kanina that acceleration is equals to 4.90 meters per second squared. But yung kanina natin problem, sinasabi doon na nag-slide down. So let's draw muna. So you have Fn mg cos theta. So yung sabi kanina sa problem, sa previous problem, is that nag-slide down daw yung object natin. But on this problem, sinasabi naman dito that yung object din daw natin is at rest, no? And also may friction na tayo na binabanggit. Since at rest nga tong si object natin, therefore, there is this equal opposing force na nag-act sa object natin para mag-rest siya. Okay? And that is friction, no? So we have an opposing force which is friction. Okay? So a friction. And kung anong kind of friction, this is static friction. Okay? Hindi siya kinetic since at rest nga siya. So this is a type of friction that is static, no? Now, we can list down ulit yung mga values na meron tayo. So we have 10 kilograms. So we have 10 kilograms na object, no? And we have again a theta here, which is 30 degrees. So therefore, mg cosine is 30 and mg sine is also 30. Now, so friction si pinapahanap sa atin, and si friction dito ay part ng x-axis, no? So therefore, we will find the net force acting on x-axis. Now, a while ago sinasabi natin that force on x-axis is equals to ma. Again, this is if may movement sa object natin. But since nga wala, no, at rest siya, so therefore yung f of x natin is equals to 0. Okay? And we can list down again yung mga quantities acting on x-axis. So we have mg sine 30 minus y minus, again nga dahil oppose siya. So we have here positive and this one is negative. So yung friction natin is equals to 0. So we can get yung friction by transmitting to other side. So mg sine 30 is equals to f of f, no? Or yung ano nga natin, friction natin. And then we can solve, no? So we can solve using that formula. So again, we have a formula of mg sine 30 is equals to f of f. Oops. Okay, so this is our formula. So let's um, give yung mga quantities na meron tayo. So dito nagmamatter na si mass. So we have 10 kilograms. Then yung quantity ng gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared. Si sine 30 natin. And equals to f of f. Oops. Okay. So we can solve. So 10 kilograms times 9.8 times sine 30. This is equals to 49 Newton. Since again, force nga siya, no? Yung friction natin is a type of force. So, Newton ang SI unit na gagamitin natin. Now, na-solve natin yung first question, no? But how about yung what is the coefficient of friction? We know that the coefficient of friction, or F sub F, is equals to mu times normal force. Okay, and since static nga to, so mu sub s, no, for static coefficients of friction. Now, paano natin to isosolve? Let's identify ulit yung meron um, sa y-axis natin. So, the force acting on y-axis is this is equals to 0. Why? Kasi hindi naman nagja-jump yung object natin, no? So, walang movement or interaction sa y-axis natin. So, therefore, stay yan as 0. Now, we need to solve for Fn. Since on formulas, when we are dealing with formulas, dapat dyan, isang variable lang yung nawawala, no? Therefore, we have to solve for Fn, or normal force. We know that Fn is equals to negative mg cos 30 is equals to 0. And to solve for Fn, so dapat ma-isolate natin si Fn. So we have Fn is equals to mg cos 30. No? So nilipat lang natin. So we can distribute yung mga quantities. So we have Fn is equals to 10 kilograms, then 9.8 meters per second squared, and cos 30. Oops. Okay. And multiply those. Fn is equals to 84.9 Newton. Okay. So, ito yung value ng Fn natin. So, we have 84.9 Newton. Oops. So, now, we can now use this formula, which is f of f is equals to static friction of coefficient times Fn, and we can isolate this mu, no, by multiplying both sides by Fn. So, magkakaroon tayo ng cancellations. Therefore, mu is equals to f of f is equals to over rather f sub n, no, and we can distribute yung mga quantities na meron tayo. So, oops, is equals to 49 newtons over 84.9 newton. 49 over 84.9, this is equals to 0.577. Now, anong sinasabi nitong, oops, this quantity? Sinasabi dan na at that point, no, at 0.577 is mapapanatili niya yung object at rest, and this is actually an approximately quantity, no? So hindi ito yung eksakto. So we can say, no, that the coefficient of friction is greater or equal to 0.577 but not less than, no. So that's our final answer for this problem. Now let's have this problem. An object slides down at 45 degrees incline at constant velocity. Okay? What is the coefficient of kinetic friction? So hindi na siya static, between the object and the incline. So since sinabi dito kinetic friction, therefore at motion yung object natin. But we keep in mind that although gumagalaw siya, it is also moving at constant velocity. So let's draw a free body diagram. So we have Fn, no, and we have 45 degrees. Oops. So here we have yung mg, oops, cos 45, and we have mg sine 45. Now that we draw this one, again, we keep in mind at constant velocity. Ano sinasabi nun? Meaning to say, no, there's no acceleration that happens, no? Walang change sa bilis nitong paggalaw ng object natin. Kaya siya tinawag na at constant velocity. Therefore, it will add up into zero, no? So, mag-equate yan sa zero. Now, we know that on y-axis, no, equate na agad yan sa zero. But what happened on x-axis? We know for a fact na ito ay mayroong friction daw. So, may friction. And kung anong uri ng friction, that is kinetic friction. Okay? So, therefore, we can find yung sum ng forces acting on x and y axis. So, we have summation of f sub y is equals to 0 since wala namang force na mag-act, no? And that is equals to Fn minus mg cos 45 is equals to 0, or simply f sub n is equals to mg cos 45. Okay? Now, how about on x-axis? So, on x-axis, we have the summation of forces on acting on x-axis is equals again to 0. So, hindi siya ma, oops, since at constant velocity nga siya, no? So, equals to 0. And yung forces acting on it is, we have mg sine 45 minus yung kinetic friction natin is equals to 0, no? And we can expand this friction, no, as mg sine 45 is equals to, minus mu sub k times Fn, no? So this is the standard formula for friction, right? Is equals to 0. Now, we can again expand this formula. Sabi natin that Fn is equals to mg cos 45. So we can replace Fn as mg cos 45. So mg sine 45 minus mu sub k times mg cos 45 is equals to 0. Okay? So, ang missing component natin is that etong si mu. Okay? So, we can isolate mu, no? By additive inverse. So, we have mg sine 45 is equals to mu sub k times mg cos 45. And we can divide both side by mg cos 45 para ma-isolate natin si mu. So we have mg cos 45 over mg cos 45. So makakancel na to. Therefore, mu natin, mu sub k is equals to mg sine 45 over mg cos 45. And we can cancel out si m and g, since division naman yung operation natin dito. Therefore, sine 45 over cosine 45 is equals to 1, no? Or 1.0 para ma-apply natin yung sig fix, no? Significant figures. So this is our final answer.